Okay, there we go. It's good. It's good to go, Hendra.
Okay. Am I
Awesome.
still frozen? Sorry, I need to
No, no,
confirm that.
you're looking great. You're
Okay,
looking
cool.
great. Everything is working
Okay.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you can
Awesome.
start.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's a very interesting session and a very close to heart topic for me. Personally, I believe a lot of implementing OKRs and CFR together, and that's been our a key to success also. So I have a very special guest today to discuss about it also. Before we jump onto the episode, probably I'll introduce about why are we doing this every month. We are doing this every month. We are talking to different set of people, and this we are doing it for our own community. We call the community as goals accomplished community, where we have visionaries, we have CEOs, a lot of strategists being part of this particular community. So as a part of community event, we do this so that we all do the knowledge sharing between each other, and we pick people from the community and start discussing on what are their experience looking like. And you can also feel free to join our community, join us on the Slack. The link is below. We will also be sending you a mail a bit later. So to introduce us who we are, why we are actually doing all these things, we call ourselves Datalligence. We are a simplified and an intuitive platform. You can effortlessly track OKRs, KPIs, and also performance management in one platform. All your business metrics in one place. Not only a SaaS product, we also help organizations to set their OKRs up by doing the coaching in terms of performance and OKR coaching. That's been a part of portfolio, and we have trained more than 1,000 plus team across countries. That's how I know Hendra as well. So before we go on, let me introduce myself to you. I'm one of the co-founders of Datalligence. We are an OKR SaaS platform. How did I actually get into the journey? Is I was an OKR coach earlier. That kind of inspired me to start a product of our own, and then I've been training since then. I also work with certain companies along in terms of implementing OKRs, and I work with various methodologies, not only OKRs, but also worked in balance scorecard, that is your BSE, and also management by objective and Ocean Country, and so on and so forth. So that's about me, and I'll take a moment and to welcome a special guest. I have Hendra. Hendra, I've been working with Hendra for almost more than a year now. I met him last year before the new year when we started discussing about OKR implementation in this company, and the way that he understood OKR and the questions that he actually threw on us in the initial discussions was very interesting. I really felt that a coach who drives OKR makes a lot of difference, and he's one such coach who made a lot of difference in the entire implementation process. And he has a lot of experience under his belt. He has worked in areas like OKRs, KPI, and also strategy execution. He's done a bit of culture management and performance management also in his organization. He's very good at HR analytics, which I would definitely vouch upon because I had seen the dashboards that he used to present to his management in terms of OKR adoption, OKR progress. And in spite of we having our own dashboard, he started creating his own dashboard and sharing it with the team. That is very interesting to see how he is actually, has the acumen of HR analytics as well. He also has a knack of maintaining the and developing a best practices and program management techniques. And he's been the OKR coach for Q earlier. That's where he last worked, and he's ensured that the entire strategy execution has been seamlessly rolled out, and they've really had a great outcome based on the implementation they had. And it gives me immense pleasure, Hendra, to have you here, from a customer to a colleague, and to a friend, and now to a partner who can discuss about everyday implementation. That's really a great thing, and fantastic having you here while there is New Year around the corner. It's so very festive here. With that, I stop, and then probably I'll ask Hendra to introduce himself a bit, and probably we'll deep dive to the questions directly.
Okay, thank you, Ramya, for the introduction. Nice to meet you guys. I didn't see Indonesian name here. It's okay. Okay, so in this occasion, we will share anything about OKR and CFR and why both of them are essential for the organization performance. I will try to share my screen. Okay. Before we start, we know that OKR is one of the most popular framework of performance management in agile industry or agile organization nowadays, and the unpredictable changes and challenges is inevitable. So the OKR is coming up to solve those problems, and OKR is the goal-setting framework that improve performance and drive changes. If we want to talk about the objective, we need to remember what is the strategy, what is the long-term strategy of the organization, because the strategy is the broad priorities, something that we need to achieve in a long term. Then we have to divide it in a near term, and we call it objective. If we talk about the objective, the common definition of objective is focus on the near term, right? So if we can set them in quarterly basis, semi-annual basis, or even the annual basis. The key point of objective is near term. That's the key point of objective. So what about the key results? The key results is something that provide us the measurable statement to answer how we know we have achieved an objective. Please remember, key results is a measurable statement. So it means there will be a quantitative word we have to put there. Objective and key result is one of the most flexible, agile, and powerful framework to be implemented in many agile organizations nowadays. When we start to implement OKR for our organization, the very first thing is to communicate the value of the OKR, to answer the question of what what's in it for me, to show everyone what if we don't use OKR, what will happen to our organization. So what is it all about? Conversation. The first letter of CFR is C, which stands for conversation. We have already used the term of CFR even since the very first stage of OKR implementation program. So what what do we have to do to get their buy-in? What do we have to do to make them sure about the OKR framework? Understanding their perspective, empathizing the change fatigue, and involving them in the solution are the best ways to get them on site, and of course, to optimize the results. So what is it all about? Gaining the feedback. The second letter of CFR is F, which stands for feedback. Yeah, remember, this is another step for us to use the CFR terminology when we start to implement the OKR framework. One of the milestones to measure the culture of OKR is employees feels their input matters. They feel more comfortable. They know they are working for the bigger things than their day-to-day job, and they find more purpose and meaning in their job. So, what does it look like? Being recognized. The third letter of CFR is R, which stands for recognition. So, from the very beginning stages of OKR implementation program until we can feel the culture shift of OKR, we are always close enough to the term of CFR, conversation, feedback, and recognition. OKR and CFR are essential for organizations to drive their performance continuously, progressively, and amazingly reach the unbelievable things in the moonshot things. We can call it a moonshot thing. So, if we want to implement the OKR, please, we can move from the day-to-day job to be the more inspiring job. You can state that on your objective. The organization objective, inspiring organization objective, will help us to paint the beautiful future for us to know why we exist, why we have to achieve that. That's the point of OKR and CFR. So
Yes.
if we want to know that how OKR and CFR contribute to the culture of continuous improvement. All right. In the OKR's retrospective cycle, we found several steps to implement, right? We can set our cadence bi-weekly or bi-weekly or even monthly, but please don't set it longer. It will help us to prevent the bigger missing. First, we need to identify which KR are achieved or even extremely above the target. Then we keep the rest one, the unachieved KRs, to discuss them later. For the achieved one, we need to get the clear idea, the clear situation, clear understanding why we achieved them. Were we lucky enough? Were there any situation that helped us yesterday? Or were we creative enough to do something incredible yesterday? Or were we setting the target too low? We need to determine that clearly, right? We need to get the key of success, learn the way of success. Why? To inspire others of what we could do and what we would like to do. Maybe we should stretch our target for the next quarter, but don't forget, give a praise to the team, recognize them so they can boost their spirits to give more and more, to do more extra miles. So, what about the unachieved KRs? Let's take a breath first. All right, say thank you. The first thing is say thank you. Thank you guys. We did a great things, but several things didn't go well. Make sure everyone knows that several point needs to be improved. Keep in mind that we need to discuss and focus on behaviors and action conducted previously. Personality traits, personal preference are a good point to discuss. Be clear, be concise, and be specific on what we witnessed firsthand, rather than we heard something from others. Sorry. So on that point, please own that point. Then it's time to discuss the improvement. Gain the possible root causes. Ask them whether they have any ideas to answer this situation. Give them a positive feedback. Give them a supportive suggestion. Let's brainstorm. Ideas are easy. Execution is everything. It takes team to win. John Doerr.
With that, Hendra, I have a question here.
Yeah, yeah,
So
sure.
what happens mostly is that CFR is something that you want to really cultivate and wanted to implement in an organization along with your OKR as a strategy. But
Okay.
at times we understand also there is a lack of training among the team, right? We are not training
Mm-hmm.
the leaders enough or the managers enough to
Mm-hmm.
actually carry the CFR. CFR cannot be carried on by anyone else. OKR coach cannot do that, or probably you cannot automate that process. It has to be, kind of a behavioral change
Mm-hmm.
amongst the leaders and the individuals also. When
Yeah.
you implemented this, is
Mhm.
there anything that you had to kind of educate or kind of train the managers so that CFR becomes a culture when you're
Mhm.
implementing OKRs?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, the first thing is we want to have the same page for all the member of the organization, right? So we have to train them. We have to educate them first. The point is we have to read to be ready to give a feedback, and of course we have to be ready to receive the feedback. That's the point, because the conversation will work two ways, right? The
Correct.
superiors and the team, they have to be open-minded. They have to be open-minded on what happened on the business.
Yeah, being
So
open-minded, yes, yeah. Go on, please.
yeah, to be open-minded on the business. So if we find something difficult to understand, we have to be clear enough to state that we are like on that, and we have to put for our focus on what the task and what can be improved. So the point is already no. The point is we have to be in same page of giving and receiving feedbacks. So the conversation is not a chill chat. I think it's a serious things to discuss, and we need to, and of course, don't be afraid to asking for feedback. Whoever you are, if you are a team, you can ask your superior to give you a feedback. And of course, if you are a leader or maybe a director or CEO, don't be afraid to asking for feedback. That's a good point for CFR, I
Yeah.
think.
But I mean, to reiterate to what you said, during our implementation, we also come across this. OKR gets implemented easily, and then creating that culture around OKR, which is conversation feedback culture, takes some time because we are
Mhm.
getting used to the entire transparency, the
Mm.
accountability, free flow of discussion of that. All these things we are getting used to in the first quarter. I've
Mhm,
seen
mhm,
people having a periodic review, say fortnightly review, has actually helped a lot. Not
mhm,
discussing in detail, more a water cooler chat, understanding exactly where we are currently, any challenges for that particular week, or what's in it for the week ahead. Those kind of small petty discussions on OKRs has actually helped them to bring that culture to formalize conversations and feedback.
mhm,
And
mhm,
if you recognize the behavior of communication seamlessly, and giving feedback, I think
mhm,
that actually kind of reinforces the entire process, right? If you start recognizing the right behavior around OKRs,
mhm,
so
mhm.
it becomes very easy for us to easy for us to understand, and then taking it ahead and making that as a cultural process. And I have
Yeah,
another question for you,
yeah, yeah,
which
yeah.
I wanted to discuss.
Mhm.
No, you spoke about continuous improvement, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Contributing, OKRs contributing to a culture of
Mhm,
continuous improvements and things
mhm,
like that.
mhm,
So,
mhm.
how does it really? Maybe you can start with the slide and tell me, discuss about how that has actually helped where you implemented. How does it
Mm.
really help you in the continuous improvement?
Okay, so if we are in the OKR cycle of retrospective, right? We we define the target, right? We define the objective, we define the KRs, and we have to define the KR. What is it? The target in moonshot term, right? And if we in the periodic cycle, we need to discuss the progress. Of course, we need to define whether which one is below the target, which one is above the target, on which one is on the target, and of course that three condition we have to be clear enough on the situation. If we found that the KR is extremely above the target or maybe on the target, right? We have to see whether we are lucky enough or we are. Uh, is there any situation that helped us yesterday, or is there anything uh, creative in or innovative job that we did to help to achieve that KR? We have to be clear enough on that. And of course, if we found that a good point to do a good initiative or good action plans we did yesterday, we can continue that. We can inspire others to do the same thing, get the
I
point
get it.
and copy paste the same thing, right? But if we found that the KR that was the below the target, yeah, the achievement is below the target, we have to find the root causes, the possible root causes. Why? Because those possible root causes will help us to drive the new action plans, the new initiative, the more creative and more innovative action plans, tactics, or something like that. We have to improve. We have to, what is it, develop something new. Why? To get the better results for the next quarter or the next period. The
Got it.
improvement discussion will be there when we do the OKR retrospective. And
Got
of
it.
course, the analysis, of course, we have to be open-minded on the single source of truth. Single source of truth. In many practitioner in OKR, or in several organizations, they have different sources. For example, if we use the GA4, Google Analytics, the version of Google Analytics, the newest one, right? If we use the GA4, we need to adapt any, what is it, our achievement, because there are several different calculation between the GA and the GA4, and we
Very
need to
true.
adapt that, right? We need to adapt that, and everyone should adapt that. Several organization, for example, in my previous experience, some some organization, for example, the commercial, they still feel the comfortable using the GA, but the product team is already adapt to the new GA4, and of course that resulting difference number, and we will have we will have different choices to pursue, and of course that's terrible for the OKR. Of course, single
True
source
that.
of truth will help us to analyze and to, what is it, to give the accurate improvement, accurate action plan in a precision way. Why we need to do this? Because our our achievement will be depends on what we said. That's a
Very true.
crucial
Very
thing, I
true.
think.
And
Yeah.
that's something becomes a challenge, right? Sometimes the
Mhm.
targets, as you said, every department would follow a different targets, and it
Mm.
becomes very hard for people even to think around and set some targets around it. That's
Mhm,
something
mhm,
which I have seen most of the companies struggled are setting their targets. Setting the targets are very clear, but writing the key results appropriately, right? I mean,
yeah.
what should I set as a target when I'm writing a key result? That becomes a key issue, or probably a kind of a bottleneck for most of them. That's why we always ask people to kind of follow some basic templates which we share to them, so that they can adopt from that right away. Only the
Mhm,
numbers has to be plugged in.
mhm,
That actually kind of people are getting that document, and when you start brainstorming in your initial sessions, you're getting that
mhm,
key result targets done.
mhm,
One more thing which I found is that with adding CFR to the entire process gives way to actually a lot of conversations, lots of dialogue between the team members, right? The
mhm,
cross-functional team per se, not only my own team. When I'm working cross-functionally, it opens up a lot of dialogues around it. This also helps me to kind of reiterate my own OKRs in the next
mhm,
quarter, whatever I
mhm.
have done this quarter. Probably I will revisit that in the next quarter with the learnings that I had in that other quarter. So
Yeah.
this conversation gives way. Otherwise, what happens is that I go set something, forget about it, do a check-in in the quarter end, and I have no learnings around it. When there is an essence of CFR added to it, there is a continuous conversation and feedback around my OKR.
Mhm,
Cross-functionally, I'm saying. So that becomes a learning for me so that I can correct whatever I have done the next quarter. That's been my experience. And
mhm,
what I wanted to ask you is that how do you facilitate this when you're going from one quarter to another? How
mm.
CFR has helped you in kind of capturing, being mature quarter by quarter? So how
Yeah.
does that add to one quarter by another?
Okay. So in the we are working on the maybe between the quarter 1 and quarter 2, right? The quarter 1 we see the achievement and we have to discuss whether whatever regarding this OKR, and maybe we can see that several OKRs are not achieved, and then we need to put another KR for the next quarter, right? It depends on the business strategy, right? So if in the quarter 1 we set to maybe we need to gain the profit, we need to gain the profit. So the OKR of the quarter 1 will be focused on that profit. But if we want to change strategy, we need to we need to gain the value. It differs from the profit, right? If we need to gain the value, of course we need to raise the cost of marketing. If the cost is raising, of course it will reduce our profit. So that's different situation. For example, from the quarter one and quarter two. So the CFR will will have the main role to discuss, because we need to challenge the objective. The first quarter objective is for the profit, and the second quarter objective is the value. So we need to challenge that. Then and CFR are about the conversation, and we need to gain the feedback, and we need to know why we achieve that objective.
Very true.
That discussion is very important for us to understand why we need to achieve that objective. Why don't we continue our previous objective about profit? That's a good point to challenge. We maybe we know that the top down process of OKRs is about the objective. The corporate objective is, it always be top down process, the corporate objective. But in the process, we have the bottom up. The bottom up is challenges that objective. Those conversation will help us to understand, and we will have something 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 different, and we will feel that it is true to pursue. That's the good point.
True that. Thank you. That was really helpful.
Yeah.
I think there might be some questions. Let me check if we have any questions before we go to the next question. Probably I'll check if we have any question from the audience.
Sure.
How can organizations link CFR to motivate employees and boost morale? Is a question that I've got in the chat.
Mm.
Thank you very much, Tommy. I think that's a very interesting question. I would let Hendra to answer it, and then I would want to take a moment in answering that as well.
Okay. Okay. So how can we align the CFR in performance management system in the organization, right? Okay.
More of motivation, employee motivation, not a
Oh,
performance
employee
management, more an
motivation. Oh,
employee motivation. Yeah.
employee motivation. So we have something about conversation, feedback, and recognition in CFR, right? If
Yeah.
we found some, if we found an employee who did something great, and he he or she achieved the KRs or the OKRs, we have to recognize them. We have to recognize them. Why? Because the recognition will be a good spirit for them to reach another milestone, to reach a, extra miles, to go to extra miles to do something better. The recognition can be in the two form, right? The
Correct.
tangible, intangible. The tangible is highly related to the money and funding or something like that. Yeah. The
Very true.
intangible things, it's about we can praise them, we can give them an applause, we can give them a, what is it, exposure to another team that she or he had uh, ABCD award above and beyond Call of Duty. Yeah, you know that statement. I think the ABCD award that signed by the CEO. That's a low cost recognition, and maybe the CEO can give them to the what is it, their family. Hi, Miss someone, your husband or your wife has achieved something great for the organization. We thank you for his contribution or her contribution, and that's a low cost recognition. And you know what? The family knows that his husband or sorry, her husband or his wife is doing something great, and they are important to the organization. That recognition will be praise them, of course, individually, and of course in their family. I think that will be good for their motivational.
Perfect. I mean, that's what I was also trying to, kind of voice out, adding, creating a recognition, rewards and recognition around OKRs.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of R&R programs that any company runs, right? Typically, there will be a lot of rewards and recognition programs that runs around companies. An
Mm-hmm.
IT product company where I currently am associated with have been really successful in implementing OKRs along with
Mm-hmm.
CFR
Mm-hmm.
because their entire R&R program is defined or designed around OKRs. One award goes for the check-in, award goes for the progress, one award goes for the milestone achievement, one
Mm-hmm.
award goes for the manager nudging the users to
Mm-hmm.
check in continuously.
Mm-hmm.
There is a team award that goes. So most of these awards and recognition or appreciation is around your OKRs,
Mm-hmm.
which gives you a very positive, approach or positive morale around the team members because everyone are all working towards a common goal and we are all talking the same language and we are all being appreciated for the same work that we have been doing. There is no bias, it's
Mm-hmm.
all black and white. The transparency of OKR helps that much so that it is all more accountable and empowering because we all know what each other are doing. There is no bias out there. So
Yeah.
that is definitely, Tommy, would something that I would say helps a lot in an organization. I
Mm.
have also seen a lot of organization tying their variables to OKR, saying that you achieve X number of percentage. But I've not been a great fan of linking that to a variables pay. But if it works for some companies, it works greatly for them. So it's the way that our culture works. What motivates our team works a lot. So
Mm.
that kind of a behavioral change around rewards and recognition program can actually help you on a real-time basis.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
one
yeah.
more
So,
question before we go on.
mm.
Um,
Uh,
uh,
one
yeah,
addition, Ramya.
Hendra.
Uh,
Yeah,
of course, we can use a platform to expose our recognition to the team, and that the platform should be accessible for everyone. Should be accessible for everyone to know that people is being recognized, that people is doing something great, and would be very interesting to expose, right?
very
You
true.
can use the intelligence. This platform is so good for us to implement the CFR because the feature I know
That's nice.
it's great.
That's
It's
nice.
very complex system, and I think it's very good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a very reason we wanted to encourage people doing public, recognition in our platform.
Mhm.
When I'm recognizing or giving feedback to someone, I can give a public feedback, which actually goes on the wall to everyone. And at the
Mhm.
same time, I can also give a private feedback also if it's going to be a constructive criticism and I wanted to give it one-on-one. That
Yes.
conversation is also enabled. We've also been very conscious in designing the platform itself. The CFR is embedded inside the platform. If
Yeah.
you go and see, you would actually have conversations everywhere around your key result, your objectives. You will also
Mhm.
have feedbacks,
Mhm.
multi-directional feedbacks are possible. You can also recognize people who are checking
Mhm.
in and things like that. So that
Mhm.
probably helps you to kind of create that a kind of positive atmosphere as well. I have
Yeah.
one Hendra. I think
Mhm.
Samuel has a doubt from his side.
Mhm.
Um, what are the challenges when managers are not equipped with the skills provide to effective feedback? This is what I was also asking in the beginning.
Oh
What if
yeah.
the skill sets of the manager itself is not really great? That what goes, I mean, trash in, trash out, right? If I have
Mm.
the right skills, I'm going to keep the team up and running. If I'm not, then it's going for a toss. So that's
Mm.
what I think Samuel has a doubt that. How are we going to kind of upskill the manager to
Mm.
give the right feedback to the team? Any
Mhm.
instances that you had faced, Chandra?
Sure. We can use the 360-degree feedback. I mean, the feedback is not only coming from the managers. It can be coming from the peer to peers and of course the subordinates, and of course the other managers,
Rightly said.
who everyone who has uh, cooperation with that people should give them the feedback. That's that will help us to what is it? What
Eliminate
is
the
it?
bias also. When you're doing
Eliminate the
360, your
bias, and
bias goes.
yes, yes. And I have this the good the good word for that. Forget about yeah, eliminate the
Never mind, you
bias.
can send us out.
Yeah, the 360-degree feedback will help us to understand which feedback are objective, because the managers, not every managers have a good manner to give the feedback, and not everyone has the same capacity to give feedback.
I mean, to ask you, any resistance, it is not an easy job to implement OKRs. I can definitely, most
Mm,
of the time we understand the first thing
mm,
we come across is resistance, right?
mm,
Why
mm,
OKRs? We ask before implementing, why OKRs?
mm,
Managers in turn ask us, why OKRs? Why would I do
mm,
that? So
mm,
that's
mm,
something that we come across on a preliminary stage. We have a lot of
mm,
resistance in
mm.
kind of getting implemented. That how do you overcome is, or it's more top down, and it's become an organizational decision and people start using it, or is there anything that you had to do or educate people to kind of overcome the resistance? Any instances there?
Yeah, yeah. We have to understand what kind of framework they used before, and of course
Mm-hmm.
that framework will be compared to the OKRs, right? Which one is better? Then, if if he said that my framework is better than OKRs, so give that framework to me, and I will help you to promote this framework to the management, right? We need to face that challenge. We need to escalate that point, because if we find that the CEO has asked us to use the OKRs framework to the performance management system, then if we found that someone declined to use the OKRs, we need to escalate that. What is your framework? That's my framework. So, what is the advantage of your framework, and what is the disadvantage of your framework? We need to be open-minded. Maybe, for example, the previous framework is KPIs, BSG, or something like that. Then the OKRs are coming up. We need to compare them face to face. What is the advantage? What is the disadvantage? And we need to clear on something why we use the OKRs. The
Very
key
true.
point of OKRs is self-organized. It's agile. It's flexible, and I love the word of fast, focused, and flexible. That's the point of OKRs. And if
Very true.
we want to compare for example, BSG, balance scorecard, you know that we do something difficult to define the metrics by using balance scorecard. You know the strategic map. You know the measurement by using the KPIs, and that's that's uh, that's only measure the output, only the output. KPIs always measure the output. What about the OKRs? OKRs measure the outcomes. It's much much farther than the 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 output, right? We
Very
need
true.
to explain them what is the advantage of OKRs, and we need to compare them apple to apple, and say that OKR is better for us because we are in this situation that need to be more agile, to be more flexible, because the challenges, the changes is inevitable in the world, right?
Very true. Very true.
That's a good point to discuss, I think.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, definitely. Yes. I mean, to help people understand the advantages of OKR, you really
Mm,
need to know the framework well. and
Sure.
solve the current business problem. It's not about the framework, right? Whatever the
Mm,
framework be, it has to solve the problem that you have in hand. So if
sure.
that can be solved by OKRs, why not? There should that should be educated to every single team member who's actually running. That's where
Mm,
I felt OKR champions play a very interesting and a very important pivoted role
yeah,
in
sure.
any organization, right? I mean, the one who
Mm-hmm.
really knows the framework, one second has the
Mm,
conviction towards that particular framework. We don't do
mm-hmm.
it for the sake of doing it, rather we do it because we believe in that framework. So the people
Sure.
like them kind of translate the entire essence of that OKR journey
Mm,
towards the execution, and it makes it very simple for them to also execute. So I think
mm,
that's where OKR champions like you and I have Venkat also here have really played a vital role in implementing OKRs. And knowing that
mm,
framework, having that belief really helps going a long distance. Yes, I mean, that
mm,
is something which I felt that is very, very important. Anyone to
mm.
even think starting implementing beforehand, you need to have a champion well trained. So
Yeah,
that
sure.
makes you very interesting, and that if the leadership buy-in is there, but the leaders not might not have that time to actually do the implementation.
Mm, mm,
So
mm, mm,
they actually become the shepherd and then carry on from there. So I mean, with a lot of insights that you had told me, Hendra, I think we all enjoyed hearing to it. I would take one more question before we wind up, or I'll also wait for any questions from the audience if they have any. Any instances that you can quote as final note that a positive behavior that has actually given you've seen towards
mm,
after implementing OKRs along with CFR. OKR, yes, I mean we know we bring, but when you're implementing CFR, it's much more.
mm,
I would say more work has to be done when you're actually
mm,
making people talk about it, not just
mm.
be hands offish. So that any behavior or any positive outcome that you wanted to bring up here, so that people can also have the same conviction towards it and they can start implementing that.
Okay, so the good point of OKR is the moonshot thing because we need to go further and we need to go dreamable things and we need to state that in the objective. And the inspiring objective will help everybody understand what what is the beautiful future we can paint, what kind of beautiful future we can paint. Then if we know that, everybody will feel very inspired and they will go extra miles to do that and they will know that they are doing something bigger than their day-to-day job. And of course they will find more meaning and purpose to do something because everybody in this situation, especially in the organization that doesn't know anything about OKR, they have the silo minded. They do something only for their benefits. Only that. There is no alignment. There is no collaboration. The important thing is I can achieve what I have to do. That's all. They don't have any idea of what the company have to achieve.
Very true.
So if you want to implement the OKR, please remember, please choose the moonshot target rather than the roof shot target. The roof shot target will will give you something something not different with your day-to-day job. So
Very
please
true.
go for moonshot. That will be so inspiring, I think.
Awesome, awesome. I mean, especially when it comes to Indonesia, as you mentioned,
Mm,
wanted to kind of put that point also. I've seen a lot of people KPI metric itself as a dream for most of the team members.
mm,
I mean, making people get hang on the metrics, key business metrics. It's a very, very important thing. But
Mm-hmm.
I've seen very few companies in Indonesia or Jakarta has actually
Mm-hmm.
adopted to this framework. Yes, the trend is totally changing. Last 6 to 8 months, I see a lot of inquiries coming from
Mm-hmm.
Indonesia, coming from the Middle East, where we actually did not have any inquiries at all earlier. So the kind of the success stories which is moving
Mm-hmm.
around the globe is pretty
Mm-hmm.
high, and even everyone wants to kind of implement and take it from there. As you
Mm-hmm.
suggested, the moonshot goals or something
Mm-hmm.
keeps us dream big. And
Mm-hmm.
there is a lot of satisfaction when I achieve that. Being a
Mm-hmm.
moonshot goal, the satisfaction that you get out of
Mm-hmm.
achieving, even if it's a 60% achievement, even if it's a 70% achievement, it really gives me a lot of satisfaction as an employee. I stay engaged, right? Like Gallup study says, also the employee engagement, engaged employees also give you a lot of the higher profitability you get.
Mm-hmm.
So the kind of not for the profitability, but the engagement is well proven in terms of achieving that goals that you have said.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
why I would say it really creates that positive impact everywhere when you're adding OKR with
Mm-hmm.
CFR together. Before we wind off, maybe I can take one question, or if someone has, or you can also drop any questions through our emails, which probably will come up after the meeting, so that we
Mm-hmm.
can address that later also. I'll take a moment and take any questions if we have. Otherwise, we can this team is really very special people who have joined today, the last session for the community for us for this particular year. And we'll be stepping in a new year, and then we'll have really very interesting and very interesting guests are coming up. We have a lot of leaders from the HR industry. We have leaders from we've been talking to a lot of co-founders who wants to be part of the community event and things like that. So with that, I think as understanding there is no question, let me move on and then close the last session for the year. It was a great journey for me also. I have spoken to too many people this year, and every single session has been an eye opener. I've learned a lot in turn from speaking to people like you, Hendra.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
And
Thank you.
that I would give the credit to the community. Every day we have a lot of interactions in our own community where we discuss about it. We share our own experiences in the community. Do join to keep stay updated on the events and the sessions that are happening around. Not only OKRs and goal setting, more on a holistic business perspective and strategy execution perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Stay tuned to our community, and I wish you all a very fantastic year ahead. A lot more to come for us. I think I wish you all to have a great and a very successful and a healthy year ahead. Thank you very
Mm-hmm.
much, and signing off from Datalligence and Goals Accomplished community as well. Happy New Year, Hendra, and Happy New Year,
Happy
everyone.
New Year, everybody. Thank you.